We had Lieutenant French there, who was a Scout Sniper Platoon Commander, but he's an intel trained Marine, so we used him as our deuce, and he can talk to the deuce up there, because that's his other collateral, it's the Deuce Alpha. So when you saw my company organization, and you'll see the picture there, I'll show you over there in a minute, and it's also in the photo suite. That company staff picture, that was my company staff, my commanding staff, my platoon commanders, and I had a S2 and S3 and S4 and S6. Gunny handled the S4 and S6 issues. First Sergeant handled the S1, and he handled the detainee paperwork until we got a well-qualified person to deal with detainees. XO handled the ops stuff, and we ran just like a command staff meeting, and platoon commanders were there, and we went around the horn. You would think it was a battalion staff meeting minus a bunch of captains' bars. It was just lieutenants and a few captains. But that's how it was. And the deuce, Lieutenant French, we'd have a proxim up that we got from battalion, and he would do an intel update, ops intel update every 3 days. We did it a four-day cycle. On the second to the last day of the cycle, which is the third day, that's when we in the morning we do mission analysis, platoon commanders, or the XO would get with them. I'd give my guidance to the XO. When they finished doing their mission analysis, I'd come in at least on the tail end of it, sit in on it, see what kind of guidance they have, and I would also give the XO initial guidance after reading all the reports. Hey, I want to focus the OPs over in this area here, or I want to change up the mix of OPs, both covert and overt, things like that. Talk about raid packages and all those other ops-related issues. Do mission analysis in the morning. Come to the plan in the afternoon. By late afternoon, early evening, we'd have our battle staff meeting. Go around the horn, talk about the next operation schedule over the next 4 days, and that allowed that final day for the platoon commanders to do a left seat, right seat, do a good turnover. And if there's something that was important to that platoon commander taking over the patrolling cycle, you could bring it up to me to say, hey sir, I want to change this up, or I want to change this up, or can I change my patrol to this time? Talk to the deuce about it. Hey deuce, what do you got? Does this read a good picture for us? Either yeah or nay. I'd say, okay, yeah, you're clear to go ahead and change it, or negative, we're going to stick with this scheme move for the ops cycle for the next 4 days. And that's how we operate it. Very, 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 very sound and efficient way. And that's exactly how I recommended it to Andy Nelson when Baker 17 got on deck.
And on that topic, let's switch to that last point I wanted to cover, which is how was the lesson learned transmitted to Baker 17?
I think it was a lot of information. I think initially, this is the first time we've ever really done at least I saw a very in-depth in-brief. When I was in Karbala, we did a PowerPoint presentation and then just did joint patrols, kind of did a left seat, right seat. But it was just really one major PowerPoint presentation. It was about 45 minutes. When Baker Company got on deck, it was no kidding, a 5 or 6 hour turnover process. It was like a regular formal school in brief. Came in, had the Proximus set up, brought everyone to the conference room, platoon commanders, platoon sergeants, all the key players from my side, from my company and their company, and went through an ops intel brief update, which you have a copy of that, and it goes through everything and anything from when we got on deck to the time they arrived. Gave them the city disposition, gave them our task organization, how we had everything set up, went through that, and then upon the completion of that, it was already on disk, and we had the after-action report already there for him to look at that night, so he could soak all that information in. After that, we took a walk around the camp, showed them where everything was, how our defense was laid out, so that by tomorrow afternoon, or the next day, that afternoon, they were assuming the posts. The left seat, right seat was right into that, and we needed Baker 17 to take the post so we could pull my platoon off and commence the left seat, right seat. Did a full patrolling operations throughout the whole city. Not a lot of OP operations for that particular time, but we gave him a left seat, right seat where all the known OPs are. Really was just giving him appreciation for the lay of the land, both mounted and dismounted. And then we did a couple of raids, battalion size, and brought elements of Baker 17 with us to do those raids so they could look at some of the target houses that we've been hitting earlier. After that, and then we went into the right seat, and I started to push more of my guys out. Third platoon was the last platoon to leave. We shrinked our footprint and put Baker 17 out there to do their operations, and it went extremely well. Still a considerable amount of contact during the rip, but it was helpful for them to know that, because it allowed the unit on their end to maintain that tight screw. Because when you come in, you never really know how volatile. The reports might come across as embellished. I mean, they may seem embellished if you're an outsider looking in, but then you get there and you realize how true it is. For example, Lieutenant Stark arrived there and didn't realize how volatile that the environment was, and Lieutenant Starkson's first hit with an IED, and one of my Marines, Lugo, gets killed. Pull Lieutenant Stark in, Lieutenant Starkson says, "Hey, welcome to Hussein. It's quite real out here. This is an environment, no holds barred. You got to be aggressive out here." And that set the tempo. And Andy Nelson was already a very serious, very driven company commander, so he took a lot to heart with what I had to offer. One of the things that he came in with was we were using the Garmin Rhinos internally inside the camp. Initial order was no ISRs or whatnot could be used, but we wanted to use them because having them inside the camp, everyone's using PRRs outside the city. Our communication access is going to be limited inside the camp. But if I put Rhinos or Motorola's in there, I take indirect fire, I get immediate feedback back into the COC, and there's one in each. There's like a squawk box or whatnot in each room instead of being wired in, and there's someone on the gun line. Instant feedback back to the COC, which is centralized to getting that information. Captain Nelson said, "Hey, you know what? I didn't realize how much of an important asset that would be as far as getting reports." So we gave him all our Motorola's. So he was very open to ideas, and he took a lot of what we had on board, and he also had an image and a vision that he wanted as well. He knew that our assets were starting to become very limited, and my manpower started becoming limited, where he had full up manpower. Because, for example, I came over, my weapons platoon came out there with like 42 or 43 personnel. By the time they left, it was 23. So I knew I was definitely getting smaller. But he understood that there was a need for aggression, which he was fresh and he was full of vigor, so he could pick up where I left off. So he took a lot to mind, a lot to heart. And one of the things that he took, the last thing that I remember from Andy Nelson, what he did, which made it, I knew that he took a lot on board, was small, simple gesture, but he was going to pick up the torch and pick up where we left off, was he built a sign that said Camp Gannon, had it up stenciled and put it up there on the camp as we saw it as relieving. So I knew that it was he was going to take this fight full head of steam. So very open-minded and very open to doing things aggressively out there.